Hey, Cinema Peeps!
I was making a face. Hi, Cinema Peeps! No faces at all.
Welcome to our bonus episode. I guess it's technically still going to be a regular episode in
But it's
July.
a special one.
But it's a special one because we're dedicating it all to our favorite serial killer, Dexter.
His face is a little warped, but that's okay.
I was going to wear my
Oh,
shirt
shadow.
too, but it is a little bit too small for me now, so sadly.
I'm surprised this fit me, so there you go.
I have this.
Oh, yeah. I have mine under my bed, too.
My
those
blood
blood
slide
slides.
coasters. So that's my Dexter prop that I have.
Yeah. Because I know we wanted to talk, I don't even remember what episode it was. We even said that we wanted to do we just wanted to rewatch Dexter.
Yeah.
I can't remember if that was even when they announced the new season coming up in the fall, or this fall or whatever. But, yeah, I know it's something we wanted to do. So then we were like, hey, what a perfect excuse for a special episode
Right?
for the summer. And it works out because, like I said, apparently a new season's coming this fall.
Yeah, it's being revived.
Question mark.
Yeah, to be determined.
Right. No idea how many episodes it is or, what. But, it's coming and we're excited for it. But I don't know, you got a little farther in Dexter than I did. I
Yeah,
think.
I'm on episode 4 of season 2.
Nice. Okay. I just finished season 1 last night, and I finished the book a couple nights ago.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So I guess for everyone, spoilers for at least the first season, or especially first season, maybe all seasons of Dexter, and for the book, Darkly Dreaming Dexter.
Yes.
Honestly, when I was rewatching, I was trying to remember how I got into Dexter in the first place. I cannot remember for the life of me.
No, not at all?
I don't know if I just randomly stumbled upon it. Because I feel like I was already watching before we went to school together.
Yeah.
Because that was one of the things we bonded over.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
So I, for the life of me, cannot remember how or why. But here we are, I guess.
Yeah. Mine was a friend.
not.
A friend in high school really wanted me to watch it, so he let me borrow the. I can't remember what season was on TV. It was either season 3 was just on TV, or maybe season 2. But I feel like he let me borrow like the first 2 seasons of Dexter to watch to catch up because he's like, "Oh, it's so good, you have to watch it." And then that's how I got hooked. And yeah, because I definitely remember being able to watch season 4 on TV, like with the Trinity Killer and stuff like that.
Ooh.
I was able to watch that live.
Good season.
Good season.
Good
Yep.
season. The good season. Yeah, I think, what was it? I got the book. I think I got it for Christmas one year. I don't know how many Christmases ago. So when we talked about doing this, I was like, you know what? I'm going to read the book too.
Heck yeah.
So I've always been curious, like, how much, what's different and what's the same. And I mean, there's actually some pretty big differences, but the main theme is still kind of the same.
Yeah.
Which is nice. It's funny. So, as the title suggests, Darkly Dreaming Dexter. I have the book here.
Mm-hmm.
He actually there's way more dreams. He has a lot more dreams about about the kills, and that's why he thinks he's losing his mind.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because they're very similar to when they find the ice truck killer's victims.
Okay.
So he feels like he's going crazy. He's like, is my dark passenger taking over when I'm not aware? And all this.
So wait, he's thinking he's
Yeah.
the ice truck killer before?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah, he thinks his dark passenger just takes over while he's sleeping. And
Oh,
then commits
interesting.
murders.
Okay.
So he's questioning his sanity throughout the book. And then it also doesn't help that they get some footage of who they think the ice truck killer is at the hockey arena. And him and Deborah are like, holy shit, that looks a lot like you.
Oh.
And then when Deb asks him, he's like, I don't know.
Interesting. Okay, so because you've read the book and you've seen the show now, yeah, like what do you think of the differences? And like, do you enjoy both the book and the show, like individually? Or do you like one or the other?
yeah.
Like,
Definitely, like, I like them individually. I think the show, does a better job. Because, to be fair, I think in book form, like, having these dream sequences, I think works. But, like, reading them, I was even thinking to myself, I was like, how would you do this in the TV show?
yeah.
Right? And I like how in the TV show is more about his journey to finding out what happens like to him and like his mom and stuff like that, where it's not really in the book. Like the emphasis in the book is more like, am I the killer? Like what's going on?
Okay.
And like the climax where you get to meet Binky or
Yep.
Brian, you
Yeah.
know, is still roughly the same. But again, they don't really touch upon it a whole lot, but the fact about like his mom, like their time, I guess, in the shipping container.
Yeah.
And then, who was it? Brian seemed way more vengeful against his mom. At least that's what I was picking up on. Whereas, I don't think he was vengeful towards his mom in the show. Like, he just knew that he was born this way through the terrible incident that happened to him and Dexter and how it both changed them and shaped them.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah, he seemed like he didn't have much care for the parents, because I was just trying to catch my mom up on it too, because she's been watching it. The episode where Dexter finds out about his biological dad.
Yeah.
Because I know he like does some investigation, does the DNA test, and he finds out that like the cause of death was like induced. It wasn't like a natural cause kind of thing. So obviously that kind of ties in with meaning that Brian killed him.
Yes.
In a way. So it's
Heavily, yeah.
Obviously, you know, he's got. And I'm assuming, obviously, based off, you know, how they were trying to pace the story in the show, that was his way of getting Dexter one step closer to meeting him, kind of thing, right? So, yeah.
Yeah. Especially, there's more events like that in the show where, he's trying to get to meet Dexter, obviously through Deborah and all those other things. Whereas in the book, that doesn't really happen.
Yeah.
He's just doing his kills.
Okay.
And just leaving little clues for
Dexter. So we got to see more opportunities of him attempting to bond with Dexter as brothers without Dexter really knowing until later on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fuck, I loved those scenes. Just
those,
him
yeah.
being like, he's like, hey, like, do you want to share coffee? And he's like, no. But
yeah.
I guess that's what socially is acceptable.
Right? I think that's one of the things I enjoy the most about the show, too, even just watching season 2 here, because obviously it's about the Bay Harbor Butcher and stuff, and so in particular, there's a scene where Cody, Rita's son, has nightmares about the Bay Harbor Butcher. And so, like, Dexter's having conversations with Cody about how, he won't hurt you, you're not a bad guy, he only goes after bad guys. And it's just so funny to see. And then Rita's mom comes in, and she's like, I for one think he's doing a good thing. I think they should just leave him alone. He's got my seal of approval. And it's just so funny how, like, you know, Dexter's in the room when everybody's talking about him, like, you know. So it's just kind of it's funny how they do that.
Right, and all those little weird moments.
You have to kind of remind yourself. You're like, oh yeah, like stepping out of that. You know, you see that like everybody doesn't realize that. You know, like, even in the police station when they're trying to figure out who the Bay Harbor Butcher is, it's like he's literally right in the room with you guys, but you don't know, sort of thing, right?
Right. So is that the start of season 2? I was trying to remember, because I thought that was the end. Like, thought that was one of the cliff on hangers on end of season 1. But is that the start of season 2? Like, the end. I remember because it's him and Deborah sitting on his bed or something, or his couch, and then the TV is on, and they're like, oh, we found all these bodies in the river, or in the sea. And you're like, oh.
Yeah, that's
Is that the start of first episode of season 2 then?
Yeah, because you said you just finished season 1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so yes, beginning of season 2, is Dexter's gone however many days without killing somebody because he killed his brother, so he's kind of reeling from that. And he's trying to, he messes up a bunch of times and all that stuff happens. And then, he starts to realize, or that scene happens with Deb where he's like, I think it's the end of the episode, the first episode.
Oh, okay.
And he's like, shit, really? Just another nail in the coffin, yeah.
Right? Okay, cool. What was the thing I was thinking of? Oh, there was a couple of kills in the book that were slightly different.
Oh, yeah?
Than in the show. And to be fair, there was obviously more kills. Like in the book, you have the classic first one with the priest and the kids. And then... Interesting enough, the second guy he kills in the show, who I already forgot his name, but he was just some guy, he killed him at the condo stripping copper wire or whatever.
Okay.
So that one was actually completely different. So he actually fucks up that kill. He kills him because he was a janitor, but he was like living in a very rich neighborhood. So it was implied that because he worked at a school, that he was actually selling girls into the sex trade, and that's how he came to all this money.
Oh, okay.
And again, there's like this weird thing in the book because it's like, not that Dexter feels inferior to the ice truck killer, but I think you could see like he is jealous.
Yeah.
Kind of like when you're jealous of an older sibling in a way.
Yeah.
So he kind of breaks the rules and tries to kill this guy, but then almost gets caught. So he has to leave his work half finished. And he even says, he's like, why did I do that? That's not like me.
Right, okay.
So that was really interesting. The whole thing with the guard, like that was never a storyline. You just find him dead.
Okay.
It's not the whole thing where he has his little limbs chopped up. Which, again, I almost like that better because, again, it brought this connection to Dexter and his adoptive family, and obviously his real biological brother trying to bring that into light.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. It was interesting because all the people he killed, like I said, he only has like 2 little like dark passenger kills. But both of them actually had to do with like abusing children. Which was very interesting because I'm assuming it's, again, this deep thing where he was left as a child in blood and talks about how much he cares about children. So obviously, I think that was just supposed to reflect his past in a way.
Right.
Like subtly.
Yeah.
In a way. But I'd have to say, the one change in the book that I'm glad they kind of changed in the show was I felt like Deborah in the book wasn't as headstrong. I don't know if that's the right word for it. But, like, kind of just like in the book and in the show, right? Deborah starts out not feeling very confident.
Yeah.
Like, when she's, like, suggesting ideas and stuff. But I feel like as the show goes on, she becomes more and more comfortable, and we see a lot of growth from her,
right.
even in the first season alone.
Yeah.
Whereas in the book, she's still, like, very timid the entire time. And I just felt like, at least in the show... Because she's still a cop at the end of the day, so she does have, like, some pretty good cop instincts.
Yeah.
Like, there's obviously some stuff that, obviously, Dexter knows because he's a serial killer, so he would know what other serial killers do.
Yeah.
But, like, in the book, it just didn't feel like Deborah could stand on her own 2 feet without getting help from Dexter.
Oh, okay.
Like, she couldn't really come up with her own ideas.
Which
I wasn't a huge fan of.
Yeah, and I guess in a way they did kind of show a little bit of that in the beginning, right? Because when she was trying to make an impression on the head boss or whatever, she'd get Dexter to kind of help her out a little bit. But yeah, you're right. She did kind of end up growing as an individual herself. She kind of did her own thing.
And to be fair, maybe that happens more in the other books.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how many books there were.
How many are there?
Oh, there's quite a few. There's there's like 7 or 9 books.
Oh, wow.
So it's a pretty long series.
Yeah.
So I was gonna maybe try to find a couple, maybe at a used bookstore, maybe, and see if I can continue reading on.
Yeah.
I mean, my goal is still to like, not binge, but rewatch all of Dexter before the new season comes out. But I wouldn't mind trying to read a couple of the books. Again, just curious of like how much does the show follow the books. Because I was even thinking about it. In the show intro, they always state that Dexter is based on Darkly Dreaming Dexter and none of the other books.
Right.
So I am curious how different it's going to be.
Yeah, because I wonder, too, even, unless you know, how soon after the book was written did they start doing the show? And, like did they start kind of doing the whole Game of Thrones Walking Dead thing where they do the book and then they kind of took their own path? Or was the writer kind of taking inspiration from the show, like what?
Right.
Yeah.
Especially that I'm curious about. But from what I remember, what I looked up, the first book came out 2004. The show came out 2006.
Okay.
And the second book came out about 2005. And again, just guessing that maybe they probably started filming in 2005, maybe. That maybe the second book had already been out, so I don't know how much of that book maybe influenced this season as well.
Yeah, or how closely they worked with the writer, maybe.
Right?
Yeah.
All very interesting questions, but it was really funny when I got to the end of the book, which the last scene in the book is dramatically different from the ending of the show.
Oh, yeah?
In terms of, like, so, like, we get to the point where Deborah has been abducted, she's on the table, She is actually awake during the entire time Brian is talking to Dexter.
Really?
About Need to Kill, which I thought was very interesting. LaGuardia actually follows Dexter. And she, like, comes out, and she gets in a fight with Brian. She gets stabbed a couple times, and then at one point she's just crawling on the floor, gun pointed at Dexter's leg. Deb's freaking out. She's like, Dexter, look out, like, don't get shot. And then Dexter makes a decision. He's like, I'm not hurting Deborah. And Brian goes, oh, that's too bad. And then literally the last line is, the knife drops. And you're like, the shit? And then there's like a page and a half of epilogue, which most of it seemed to be indicating that maybe Deborah was dead. And that's when I was going to be like, I am not reading the rest of the series. Fuck that. But it turns out Deborah is alive, and it's LaGuardia that's dead.
Oh.
Already in the first book.
Okay, so they basically kind of took inspiration. I guess that makes sense then, because it is later on in the show where similar stuff happens,
but it's like much
right?
later on, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I even looked it up.
Season 3 season 3, I think, maybe?
Oh, I looked. She said she was still on the show till like 2012 or 13.
Oh, maybe.
Unless she comes as a ghost. I thought for sure like the second last season, or no. I already forgot. But yeah, so she's already dead, and Deb actually makes Sergeant.
Wow.
In the end, they're at LaGuardia's funeral.
Yeah.
And Dexter's talking about it. And obviously Dokes then is very suspicious of Dexter at that point. Just kind of like he is at the end of season 1. And supposedly the book, again, the epilogue, they say Brian is still on the loose. So that's like, okay, I'm okay now. So that's why I'm curious to start reading book 2. Because it doesn't seem to indicate what happened.
Yeah.
So I'm curious if, like, Brian did actually escape, or maybe he killed LaGuardia, Dexter killed Brian. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I am curious to know what happens.
Yeah.
But it was a very dramatic ending, that's for sure. I was like, holy shit.
I think we should definitely later on do, like, a follow-up podcast to this and do some more research on, like, the inspiration, but then also just, I'm curious to know, like, from what you're explaining about the first book, and obviously with the credit being shown on the show that it's based off of the first book, what made them want to kind of, is it just like TV standard? Like, were they just like, well, we kind of want to make it so that, you know, there's something different to look forward to every season. We didn't want the whole storyline to be carried out all throughout how many seasons. So, yeah, I'd be interested to know that kind of stuff.
Maybe. I also found, though, in the show versus the book, that a lot of side characters have more human moments. Like, Sergeant Dokes has that kind of moment, or a couple moments, especially with Deborah. There's also the couple moments where you think, like, oh, are they gonna get together? Because they kind of seem like it, but then Brian fucking shows up with the white roses, and we're like, ah, damn it, no!
Right, yeah.
And with Lieutenant LaGuardia, making her very more human, whereas in this one, it's definitely like she is a power hungry, plays the game, plays the politics, hits on Dexter way too much.
Which I'm glad they kind of dropped after a while.
Yeah. Well, because she makes a very, very sexual advance, and Dexter, of course, shoves her off.
Yeah.
Wouldn't fly today. But what I thought was interesting is the reason why she's trailing him is because she's like, well, clearly there's something wrong with you, because, like, I'm hot shit. Like, why did you reject me? And I was like, well, there's a lot of problems with that. First of all, you're a superior. Second of all, gross.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know where. So, yeah, I'm glad they changed that. But, sorry, the point I was trying to make is, versus the book, a lot of these side characters, again, like Angel, they gave them, like, even though maybe not very long, but some more human plot lines. So I'm curious if that's why maybe they chose not to kill LaGuardia.
Yeah.
Was to be like, oh, we want to continue having these kind of more human stories on top of having Dexter's very complicated, dark story.
Yeah, because it's still, in a way, like, it's still very much a cop show, CSI-esque kind of thing, where you have the different characters to root for different reasons, but the main thing is still you're following Dexter throughout the whole thing, right? Yeah.
So that would be my guess. But again, too, I don't know how much of book 2, follows that and stuff like that. So yeah, it'd be interesting. But yeah, I was trying to figure it out.
Cool.
But no, it wasn't a bad read. It wasn't a bad read. That's
nice. For sure. Yeah, that's cool. I remember picking up the book in high school, and just because I'm a slow reader, I suck at reading, so I never ended up actually reading it all the way through. And at the time, obviously, I was more intrigued by the show than the book, so it's cool to know that, like, it's very different, but also sounds very interesting still, too. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, reading's hard, man.
It's good for you, but it's just when you read really slow like me, you get bored fast or you fall asleep. So
I do a thing where I read slow but then read fast somehow.
Oh, really?
Like I almost, and again, maybe because I've watched the show, so like I'm reading the words, but sometimes like my brain is just, again, I don't know how people read, but like when I'm reading, obviously I'm creating a picture.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I think I'm reading too fast, and then I'm just focused on the images, and then I'll get lost. Right. Sometimes I'm like, oh fuck, where the fuck was I? Damn it.
Yeah, that sounds like me.
But I think you also just have to be in the right mood. And again, I find, honestly, I'm surprised I read this book at home.
Yeah.
My track record has been I've read 0 books at home. But when I go on vacation, I'll bring like 5 or 6 books, and I'll read them all.
Nice.
Again, some of them have pictures. So.
Yeah.
But again, I'll bring like Nancy Drew books, which again, they're not very long. They're 200 pages.
Mm-hmm.
So mind you, I'm not bringing
like,
500 plus novels
encyclopedia
with me
size.
Right?
Yeah.
But I do find I just read more on vacation. I just don't know. I feel maybe just because there's less distractions around.
Yeah.
So I find when I try to read at home, it's like next to impossible.
Yeah, fair enough.
But like I said, when I'm waiting for Dead by Daylight lobbies to load, I'm like, I'm just going to read my book.
Multitask.
You know? Right? And then the music just goes so well.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, speaking of fucking music, my God, that fucking intro song every time.
Oh, right?
I used to play that as my wake-up alarm. Drove my roommate crazy. This is iconic. I was like, it's so soothing. Fuck off.
It's awesome. I'm curious. Like, I think we've talked about this before, but I'm curious to know if they're going to use the same intro, which I'm assuming they have to. I mean, it'd be sacrilege to show Dexter without that intro. It's pretty iconic. But if they're going to like incorporate the same kind of routine just with where he is now. It's
That's
no
what
longer
I'm hoping
like
for.
what it was before, yeah.
That's what I'm hoping for, honestly.
That would be cool.
That would be fucking dope. Although I do have one problem with the intro that's always bugged me since day one. And again, it's this really nice thing where it's like he's, again, doing mundane things, but then there's like this sinister undertone to it, and the way, especially like the slicing of the eggs is so well done. Mm-hmm. But again, this is more of a comical thing, but what bothers me is like, I'm like, dude, why are you making every individual food and eating it? Just make it all in one go and just enjoy your breakfast. I get it wouldn't be as effective, but it's just, I don't know. It's always funny to me when he's like, he cooks like the ham or whatever, then he eats it, then he cooks his eggs, and I'm like, bro, you could just like do that all at once and you could still have a balanced meal.
Yep.
But really, it's like the most minor of, it's just me being stupid.
For the longest time, I couldn't I was disgusted and couldn't figure out like that orange that he squeezes because it looks like guts on the inside. So I was like, oh, what is that supposed to be? But then I realized it's a blood orange. Like after a while, I finally figured that out. But yeah, that was my big thing before. I was like, oh, what is that?
Damn, gross.
Yeah. So I guess with having watched, I mean, we're watching it now, like, because I'm realizing there's a lot of stuff that I've forgotten happened on the show since I've seen it last. It's literally been 10 years, 11 years since I've seen the show fully. So,
right.
But yeah, do you have like a favorite character, or, like a favorite moment, or like what are your favorite things about the show?
Yeah, I'll have to go mostly off of season 1 because that's obviously the most recent season I've watched.
Yeah.
I think I obviously love Dexter, but if I had to pick a character other than Dexter, like, I really like Deborah. Mm-hmm. Fucking badass. Favorite moment?
I guess
That's a twicky one.
What do you like most about the show? Other than the obvious.
Hottie McHotter stuff. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think we've discussed this. We've all gone through our angsty teenage phase. So, like, I feel like, to me, it's like, a show about a serial killer, but like, he's really good. Oh, that's so deep, man. Man, I'm so cool. You know, but I think rewatching it again, I guess I notice more things, and I don't have the exact same perspective, if that makes, because angsty teen, you know, again, it was like, oh yeah, he kills people, but it's for good.
Yeah.
What does that mean? You know, like fucking stupid ass emo shit. But a show about someone's inner darkness has always been interesting, but obviously the way he, you know, copes with that, he actually channels into something good, which then leads to that kind of story where it's like, yeah, he's like, kind of like you said, how Rita's mom's like, oh, we should leave him be. Yeah. He's doing good work here.
Yeah.
You know, so you're in this weird, like, tug of war, maybe as an audience member, and I guess in the same as the show, right? Where you're like, yeah, he kills bad people, and some of these people he kills are just, like, awful. And they escape the system somehow, you know. And so, you know, it's good to see them get their just desserts. But, as you always have to remember, it's like, well, because I think, oh gosh, what season was it? Maybe it was season 4? I don't remember exactly what season it was, but there was one time where Dexter actually killed an innocent person, and so against Harry's code.
Yeah.
You know? And I think as an audience member, you're like, oh shit, what's gonna happen? But then Dexter kind of just goes, you know, it's a little blip in a world. We all make mistakes.
Yeah.
So it's like this ever pull of like, you're rooting for him because he's doing good work, but then you're like, well, I'm actually enabling a serial killer. Because he does, like, they do make a point that Dexter doesn't have emotions.
Yeah.
And he can't feel a lot of things. So, no matter how good his intentions are,
yeah,
at the end of the day, he's still a sociopath.
Yeah.
And you probably shouldn't let them be running around, you know? So, I guess that's the thing that's always what I enjoyed about the show. It's just that pull back and forth. Being like, oh, he probably should be in prison. But you're like, but I want him to live.
Yeah.
I want him to do all this good stuff.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that's pretty much how I feel too. And yeah, like, it's the whole, you know, rooting for that vigilante or that, you know, someone who can, you know, who's able to be rid of the injustice in the world, because when you think about all the injustice we have to see and witness, you know, in our real life, you kind of, part of you is like, oh, I wish I could do something about it, right? So it's cool being able to watch a show and root for a character who kind of, like, obviously, you know, not real, but like he fulfills that in a way, so it's cool to root for that. And yeah, I guess that's what justifies, you know, Dexter and how he is obviously, you know, he grew up, or he was born into a terrible situation, but had Harry not stepped in when he did and taught him how to, like, turn it into something good, that he could still live a life and be able to satisfy that dark need, you know, it in a way, it kind of just, you understand. You're like, okay, yeah, I could root for him, you know, we can kind of understand. But like you said too, there's moments where you do remember he is a serial killer, and you don't want to be endorsing that type of stuff, right?
Right. What's the other show? I think I was watching around the same time as Dexter. There's this anime called Death Note.
Yeah.
Which, again, the character Light, he starts out being like, oh, I'm gonna kill all the bad people in the world. But I think what sets him a little bit different than Dexter is, especially, I guess, in the end of the first episode, he gets this god complex. And that's kind of what hurts him throughout the entire show, is that he thinks he's a god. And people around the world start worshiping, oh, fudge nuts, I can't remember, but he gives himself, like, a vigilante name, so that's what they're worshiping, not, like, his actual name, Light. But has this immensely huge god complex, and basically uses people to continue to have this power. So unlike Dexter, I don't think he has a god complex, but he does think he's doing the right thing. But again, because Harry's taught him to kind of try to blend in and be part of a normal life. And you see how much, and he does say in the book how much he cares about kids.
Yeah.
You know, and so he truly does care about Rita's kids. He definitely has more feelings towards Rita in the show versus the book as well.
That's the one thing I've noticed, especially now in season 2. I'm only a few episodes in, but it's interesting to see now, you know, to have been introduced to him as this kind of like calm, cool, collected, mysterious character who's got his, you know, he's got this routine, he's got these steps, this is how he does things, and then all of a sudden he breaks that, and he's, you know, at first he's like, yeah, I don't care anything. If I had any feelings, it'd be for blah blah blah, and I don't really. I just have a girlfriend for the looks of it, so you know, I don't set anybody off. And now all of a sudden he's kind of like, I think I like her. I think I care about her. You know, so it's kind of funny to see that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right, so I think it's easier to root for Dexter because he still has these human moments, whereas again in Death Note, Light goes completely crazy and thinks he's a be-all to end-all. Again, and essentially they're both doing the same thing. They're killing people who are bad.
Yeah.
You know, or at least who they interpret as bad.
Yeah.
We're taking a quick break from our regular scheduled podcast. I'd like to talk to you guys today about our sponsor. Our sponsor is Dystopia, coming out in theaters 2023. Check out the trailer that will be dropping on YouTube any day now. For more info on Dystopia, check out our website in oh no, we have no more soap.com. But yeah, I think that's what makes the show good. The ever struggle. And again, I'd be curious to see if they expand upon the books more. But again, like even thinking about it, like again, all the other characters, there's like so much growth with them as well that I find really good. Again, Deborah, big fan. I know when I mentioned that, I had somebody was like, yeah, I had to stop watching the show because she was a huge bitch. And I was like, okay. Just kidding.
Like, she's definitely a hard ass sometimes, but like, and I do remember being not as big a fan of her when I was younger because I wasn't as big a fan of her as when I was younger watching the show, but now having gone back to watch, like, you can see the moments of Deborah in yourself. Like, you can kind of see yourself being in those situations. So she's still a tough person and a great female character to look up to, but she has those moments of weakness, right? And that's what makes her really human. So
I guess I don't think they really specified if it was just like a single season or if they're actually continuing to do more.
Yeah,
you know
last I heard, and I don't even know if it's true, but last I heard it was just going to be a mini series.
Okay, yeah.
So, yeah.
Which, honestly, I probably prefer.
Yeah.
You know? Especially just because, again, spoilers for Dexter, that was the one thing, like, that last season, I was like, why does Deborah have to die? Like, that hurt me. I was like, why?
Yeah.
I get that was, like, the last person for Dexter. You know? So they were like, well, can't have you live. But...
And who knows, maybe rewatching it, we might, like, our opinions might change on that. I'm not saying that we won't still dislike the ending. I still think the ending could have been better, but yeah, who knows now, maybe we might have a different opinion on it.
Right. And that's going to be the fun part, I think, about rewatching. At least that's what I've learned from, trying to think, like, rewatching any of the things I've watched over quarantine. Glee, all the Marvel movies, all the Star Wars movies. It's just coming back with new perspectives or being like, oh, you know what? This wasn't as bad as I thought it was.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. That's always been fun. Because I don't think we, again, don't really always get that opportunity. Because, like, I think I said, especially with Marvel, like, some of those films I watched once and never again.
Yeah.
So, I am excited. And I'm excited for the new season. And I'm sure when it comes out, we will be talking all about it.
Oh, you know it. You know it.
You guys know it. But yeah, I highly recommend Dexter. I think it's still a very good show.
I think it still holds up pretty well, considering
so
it's
far,
been almost over a decade since it's been on TV.
I do find season 1, like, there's some pacing things. Like, I realized, I was like, oh, it's kind of slower than I thought it was. But I still think the fucking twist with Brian, you know?
Oh, yeah.
You got the first one where it's like, oh, no, Deb's dating him. So I think you're in this weird panic where you're like, get away, Deb.
Yeah.
And then they still hit you with another whammy being like, oh, I'm your brother. And you're like...
Yeah, and then you start to, like, think back about all the stuff, and you're like, that makes sense now. Like, you start to, like, put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, I think that's still probably the best twist.
Oh, yeah. So I guess, without getting too far into, like, expectations or anything like that of the new season, do you think or hope that they'll bring back any familiar cast members other than Dexter? Like, I wonder if they'll bring...
Deborah will come back to life.
Yeah, or just in flashbacks, maybe.
I can see flashbacks for sure happening, which I'm down for. I guess we also don't know how many years this has I don't know if they've confirmed it or not, of how many years this has happened since we last saw Dexter.
Yes.
Because it would be interesting if he happened to run into his son again.
Yeah.
His son and his girlfriend.
Hannah
who
McKay.
I think they were in Paris, right, or something? Or at least it was
Prague or
some
something
green,
like that, yeah.
green screen land of something. I just remember being like, oh, okay, that's fine.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't know, maybe if X years have passed and he does run into... I think that would be cool if he ran into his son.
Mm-hmm. Which also, just side note too, I noticed in the most recent teaser they did of the new season, his name is very similar to the author's name of the book.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's like John Lindsay or Jeff Lindsay or Jim Lindsay or whatever, but Jeff Lindsay is the guy's name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wrote the book. Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah.
That'd be funny.
Yeah.
Little funnies. Funny guy.
Little fun fact.
Like I said, I'm excited for this new season.
Mm-hmm.
I do hope it's kind of maybe just a one-off thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Tie up some loose ends.
Right. And again, push and pull. Like, I would really want it to continue, obviously. But, you know, sometimes shows need to end.
Yep.
And, I mean, like I said, it's still cool they're doing kind of an update of, oh, where is he right now?
Mm-hmm.
You know, kind of thing. So, yeah. I don't know what I'm most excited for. Maybe I'm just excited to see it again.
Yeah.
I'm assuming... Well, yeah. My assumption is it's going to be like a season of regret. It's going to be him maybe trying to deal with that, and maybe by the end of it, maybe he decides he is going to continue just killing people. Because I guess that's something we don't know. Because I remember vaguely in those seasons, he decides he doesn't want to kill anymore, I guess, or something.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why Deborah dies. Because he's an idiot. So it will be curious to see if he even can survive regular life.
Yeah.
And see how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
Or if by the end of it his dark passenger comes back. Yeah, I think... I mean, maybe... I shouldn't say this, but I think our goal will be to rewatch it all.
Yes.
And then, yeah, who knows? Maybe if we're done in time, we'll do an updated podcast.
I would like to do that.
Or hell. I'm feeling like the pace that we go will probably be just finishing up when the new season comes out. So maybe the first episode comes back, it'll just be, again, Dexter.
Yep.
And who knows, maybe I'll read a couple more books at that point.
Yeah, nice.
But we shall see. We'll have to see how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Any final thoughts, Kendra, about the show? Anything?
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm very excited for the new season. I'm very open-minded as to what's going to happen because it's been so long, so who knows? Anything could happen at this point. I'm just happy to know from past interviews and like articles and things that, you know, Michael C. Hall, the actor who plays Dexter himself, was not happy with how the series ended. So it seems like majority of, hopefully everybody involved is on the same page. They want to do the show justice because it's so iconic, because it was such a great show, loved by lots of people. So I think they do want to try and, you know, tie up some loose ends and do it justice. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, highly recommend watching the show if you have any interest in it. It still holds up pretty well, I think.
But I guess that will do it for today's podcast.
Yep.
Hope you enjoyed this all Dexter-related stuff. Like we said, we will probably do an update since we are both continually going to continue to rewatch Dexter.
Yep.
Up until whenever, I don't remember where the date is of when the new season comes up, but I remember it being fall-ish.
Sometime
so maybe
in fall,
October.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely do a follow-up, and if it's going to be coming out every week, we'll definitely be talking about it.
Oh, yeah. So get ready.
You thought we talked too much about The Flash? Whew. Get ready. It's going to be all Dexter.
If you like this episode, give us a thumbs up. Comment below if there's anything you'd like to contribute to this episode. Subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Hell yeah.
Bye, Cinema.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Monkey.